Are we doing a countdown? Or are we good?
We're live. We're
We
here.
are live. What's up, everybody? Sorry, I didn't know if we'd be doing a countdown. Welcome back. It is Thursday. It is, well, it's 1:30 Eastern. It's not 1 Eastern, so apologies. But we are excited to be back. If you are in our Facebook group, you would have known that we're pushing this 30 minutes today.
If you're not in the Facebook group, why are you not in the
You
Facebook
should be.
group?
That's a
Join
great
it.
question. Thank you all for being here. We are going to be reviewing some wedding films today, as is always the case on Thursdays. And you can get your films reviewed if you would like. And there's a couple ways to do that. Let me put the link in chat that I always have to go type and find because I don't want to get it wrong. But here's the link if you want your... Oops, I did it twice. Oh, boy.
Oops, you did it again.
Oh, my. There it is, 3 times in a row. If you want to get your wedding film reviewed, go ahead and put it in that link. Just fill out the form, and we will review any wedding film. Whether you're brand new, whether you've been in the industry 15, 20 years, we don't care. We are here to give you constructive criticism to help you get better in your next film, no matter where you are at. And we know it takes guts to put your films out there, so we appreciate those of you who do so. With that said, a little bit on the format, just because we like to go over it. We changed it recently. If you are submitting and you are a Wedding Film School member here on YouTube, which you can do by hitting the little join button down below. It starts at just $5 a month. And then we are going to review your full film. Well, up to 5 minutes, 5 minutes or so of your film. Sometimes we've been known to go a little longer than that. And then we're going to share what we liked, what we didn't like, what we think you could improve on, what we think you did well, etc., etc. And if you are not a member, which is okay, we still want you to submit. The only difference is that we're going to cap you at 2 minutes, just so we can get through more. So, with that said, Jay, anything new in your life since last week?
I mean, if you haven't noticed, well, it just seems like people haven't noticed. So I would say go give this stuff a like or a follow, subscribes, all that junk. We've been doing
please.
a lot of content here on Wedding Film School lately, trying to suss out what you guys are into, what the audience is into. And yeah, so go check it out. We just dropped a video that I think is really helpful, Bobby, about choosing music.
Oh yeah.
How long does it take you to pick music for a wedding film? Do you find that process to be hellish the way some do?
Yeah, it's super annoying and stressful. And I know I've done I did a video, this was probably a while ago, 1 or 2 years ago on this channel, with some tips, not quite as I would say technical as your tips, but one of the things I like to do, and I think you actually mentioned it in the video you did as well, is keeping a running playlist. That's kind of how I've combated that.
Yep.
I keep a saved playlist of songs that I want to use, and that has definitely helped. But yeah, even with that playlist, man, finding the right song, it's tough sometimes.
If you haven't watched just go watch the intro, because I think it's so funny.
Academy Award-winning acting, really.
Yeah, we basically outlined the struggle. But before we get into this, guys, if you're watching this, here's what I want to ask you to do. Go ahead, do us a solid, click the like button. It means a lot. Tells the stream gods that this is a stream that is a good stream. And that means a lot to us. We pretty much survive on clicks on this channel. And so the more shares and the more, people see the content that is helpful, the better. So we'd really appreciate it if you would drop a like. We'll mention it a few times on the stream. And also check out some other content on our channel. That's all we ask from you for hanging out with you guys and doing the film critiques. Right, Bobby?
That's it.
All right.
That's everything.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Who do we got first, Bob?
All right. First up, we have Tom Halpin from White Phoenix Wedding Films. And Tom is a member, I believe, so we'll be watching 5 minutes. XT4, XT3, XT30. I don't even know what that is. First true luxury wedding that we filmed, which is a big milestone, a lot of pressure, but we feel that we did a good job. And that's all the info we got.
All right. Here we go. So, we're gonna do this full film, guys, and we're excited. So, let's check it out. And here we go.
Rivers they may run, and the changes they may come. Oh, when the light is out of reach, and the answers they may seem hard to find, and the castles start to fall, and the only words you know are why. Whenever you start to feel like running, and you forget just who you are, keep all of these words close to your heart. I'm gonna love you all my life. I'm gonna love you all my life.
Huh.
How long was that?
2 minutes. I think it's like a teaser.
Okay.
I have.
If it's a teaser, I feel like I would shift some of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I have very mixed feelings, but I have a lot of good things to say. So why don't we start there, because there's a lot to
Yeah.
love about this. So you go
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, so I think you have some really solid shots. I really like the drone stuff. I really think, obviously, that venue is really cool. And you captured that well. I like these detail setups. I really like, I'm going to give kind of contradicting things here in some ways, but I really like that there is a lot of motion in your film, but it's subtle motion. It seems very intentional. You are pushing in just ever so slightly. You are, parallaxing just slightly. It's nothing too extreme, and I think you have a really good grasp on that. And then there was some cool stuff. I mean, I don't know how much is you versus just the setup, but like with that shot with the umbrellas and the I don't know, sparklers. It's not sparklers. I don't know what they are, like sparkler cannons or whatever. Was a cool shot. And I think you overcame some, like, the lighting in that place was probably not the best. And I saw the makeup artist using one of those lights, and like it's always tough, especially with a high-end wedding. Like, do you pull them to a window? Is there even a window available? But I think you made the most of that, and I think that's not always easy. Like, I think a lot of those shots could have looked a lot worse, and they didn't. So I think props for that.
I agree. So I think this film has some, excellent detail shots. Like, there was nothing in the film that I was like, that looks terrible. Like, a lot of it actually looked really, really great. I think the way that they maxed coming up, you're going to see some of these like shots like that. and dealing with this crazy lighting scenario and stuff. I love how it looks. I mean, minus like this is not easy.
Yeah, that's a rough scenario, and I think it looks pretty good.
I think it looks cool. Like, I think if an artist doesn't understand what's cool about it and they just try to like, oh, I'm going to make it even exposure on the couple, or like, that's not what they paid for. That's not what the couple wanted. And so I think the way it was covered was really good. I also think some of the posed shots, like her going up the stairs was a beautiful shot. Her looking over her shoulder. I love that pose. It's so editorial. You know, honestly, I'm going to go into the negatives because the positive is the negative for me. The shooting and the wedding didn't match the edit or the music. But here's my concern. This is why it's like a kind of a critique, but also I'm not sure what they could have done. It matched the couple.
You're saying the edit matched the couple, but it didn't match. The
visuals.
Rephrase.
The visuals.
Yes.
It didn't match the visuals or the hype. Like I'm like watching this and I'm like, what am I missing about this couple? Like they seem really reserved and laid back, but then they have this super over the top wedding. Was it like a wedding planner who just inserted their own vision on it? Blah blah blah. I was a little. I had a hard time like placing myself, and so it's not really maybe not a critique. Maybe it was exactly what it felt like, just a little bit weird. But I was like, man, this is so many hype shots, so much like high energy moments. But then I'm watching the groom, and he's kind of like, he doesn't look hype. He looks chill. He looks really mellow. And so I don't know if that's a critique, but there's just something there. I was watching, I felt like a cognitive dissonance between like the relationship of the couple, their presence on screen. The way it was shot kind of seemed to match. And then there's these crazy hype, like over the top production elements that I felt like didn't really match what I was seeing.
Do you think some of that has to do with the fact that this did, at least, you know, by our accounts, it appears to be a teaser? Like, one of the things I wrote down and that I'm going to talk about is kind of the theory of a teaser. And I think this is missing the mark on that a little bit.
Yeah.
And do you think that's kind of aligns with a little bit, or is it at least like adjacent to what you're kind of saying?
Definitely adjacent, because it's one of those things where I don't know what the couple requested. They might have been like, no, we like folk music. We like this. We like that. In which case I'm kind of like, why did you have explosions then? I'm like watching them and I'm like, this doesn't seem like
somewhere along the way there's a disconnect, whether it was the videographer or the couple or the planner or the something about it feels not congruous. Like it doesn't feel like a creative team working together. It feels like one random element dominating a bunch of other ones. Yeah. My opinion, if I could have gotten away with it, I would have edited that way more hype. I would have leaned into all those production elements, and I would have front loaded that piece with all those production elements, because if that's the point, like we did this high end event, you want to show off how epic the wedding was, and not like, cause at the beginning of the film, and this is kind of where I'll get into stuff that just didn't match, right? Like this shot, the blinking Christmas tree, this shot, TV with speakers on the front. Yeah. Like, it's interesting in that, like, I think I agree with front loading some of the more epic elements, because a lot of what we see until we hit that this is very chronological. Yes. And a lot of what we see until we hit that like epic reception. I mean, granted, look, it's this mansion on this beautiful property. The drone shot could totally be acceptable where it is, whatever. But like, you know, the bridal prep, her with her, I'm assuming her mom and dad, the groom in front of the Christmas tree, like that could be any venue. That could be a very low end venue. Like that doesn't scream high end to me. Not that it isn't shot
from a
well,
teaser. I wouldn't have included
beautiful.
it. Yeah, I wouldn't have included it.
Or maybe you include it in the middle, but you start it with some of that like, look how cool this wedding was.
Well, in this shot right here, I'm curious how he lit it. If that actually is just the light coming from the chandelier or not. I would have.
I think so.
I would have exposed for those highlights and let it be dark. Yeah. I would not have lifted the shadows the way he did, because then you would see all these like pops of light from all these pictures and it would look moody, and I think it would go. with the frame, because you'll see in the next frame, Bobby.
Especially if you could sneak a little light.
Look how much better that looks.
I think that's a totally different room.
That's the same room. Flipped
How
around.
positive are you?
100% positive. And if it's not the same
Oh
room,
yeah, he's shooting away from the window.
Yep.
Wait, maybe? Are you sure?
No, the window's closed
All right.
here.
We need a poll in the chat. Is this the same room?
Bottom line, though, is it's the same lighting theory.
It is the same idea, yes.
And so it would look better.
Yes. I see. Yeah. And so that some things that I would add in there, or the things that I wrote down. If you're gonna do a slow paced, so I guess starting from the top, theory of a teaser. I think this teaser needed to be more fast paced. I think you needed a more hype element because I think that the reception did call for that.
It was awesome. And they shot it well.
I think this isn't so much a teaser as it is just a truncated highlight film. Like this seemed to cover.
But it had no audio.
Everything. It's just one shot. But exactly. So the one thing that it needed audio if it's going to be this slow, in my opinion. I think, and I'm assuming, Jay, you probably agree that especially if you're going to not go the hype route, even though I think some of this footage could totally be used for it, I would have loved to have heard some part of a meaningful toast, or if they were letters to each other, just something that kind of like helps move this along and give some context.
Even just like them laughing or like just like background noise. I think yeah, I mean that's our feedback. It's a good film. You're an awesome shooter. I don't want to say you wasted your opportunity by shooting this epic thing. That's not what we're trying to say.
Oh yeah.
I think this is going to be a very usable, important film for your portfolio. My encouragement would be to recut this film, make it 1 minute long, make it hype, use it for your marketing. If you want to shoot weddings that are like this more, and that's what you love, like these type of high-end, high production events, feature the high production elements earlier. And, you know, if you can make it connect to someone's emotions too, even better. So like if you can do people who can present a wedding in an epic, crazy party way, but also make it feel personal and romantic, that's the dream. So yeah. Good at it.
Good job. And thank you for submitting. All right. What's up, Brandon? What's up, Grant? Veronica Young. We have two people saying same room, different angle. I don't know. I'm not sold.
I guess you should be a better wedding filmmaker.
The distances just seem off.
Different focal length.
Yeah, but they seem too off.
They rotated.
I know.
I mean, also those. I shoot so many of those houses, and every room looks the same. So you apply one lighting theory in one room and lighting theory in another.
I think the lighting theory is the same. I think now I'm just arguing.
Those are the craziest, brightest chandeliers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I would have actually turned them down.
Oh, that'd be awesome if you had control. I mean, I don't know how much control you have, of course, but.
Yeah.
All right. We ready for film number 2?
It's up and loaded. Why don't we tell everybody who it is?
It's coming from Kelvin from Canary Films, but spelled differently and maybe not pronounced that way. 2 Fuji XH2s. The way the toast said so much about the couple's character made it a fun edit for me. Bride and groom are chill. The only thing that was a challenge that the lead photographer liked to get in close, but I feel like it did a good job reframing. Still get good angles. Are we watching a teaser here or the highlight film, Jay? Do you know?
We are watching.
Is it a minute or 5 minutes?
And this is the Playa del Carmen film. It is.
There you have it.
It's, I think, 5 minutes.
Okay, so this is probably the highlight then.
Wait, I know that. Is that Tyler Dabb?
No.
Yeah, it is.
Wait, in frame here?
Yeah, look at him.
I don't think so. Is it?
That I know that guy. I'm gonna pull him up.
I'm not sold. Wow,
you're not a believing person today.
Yeah, freaking come at me. I'm gonna argue everything. All right, should we rock and roll on this while
Let's do
you
it.
look for this
Well,
person that's clearly not the person in frame?
Oh, they're definitely there. This is the film though, right? Let's see.
I don't know. You want me
Yes,
to
it
check?
is. No, it
right.
is.
All right.
May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warmly on your face. And may the rain fall softly on your hayfields. So until we meet again, may you be held in the palm of God. To the couple.
We had to trick Kate into going out and meeting Jordan. We couldn't just do a double date. She was like, I don't need a man.
Give me that cheddar, we getting Rico. Big money rolls like burritos. Give me that hot sauce, no pico. Give me that.
Jordan was in on the whole thing. We made him shave, we made him shower. His wooing pickup line was to describe the worst time he's had at an airport ever, which starts with a chili dog in Colorado. I'll spare you most of the details, but it ends with them having to reupholster the entire carpet at the next airport.
Oh man, he
The
looks
only response
exactly
from
like
Kate, which
Tanner.
got them laughing, was her worst food airport story. Jordan, you're my best friend. You've been tested. You're my unofficial attorney that I've always called with life problems, celebrations, and I thank you for that. And looking around here today, it's just so clear that you've had that kind of an impact on everybody else. Everyone telling their stories of meeting you, their stories of why they're here, their stories of why you guys live.
All right, let's kind of cut
Flip
to
around a little.
we'll cut to some of the portrait work just to get a sense of that.
Trip to Himalayas, doing good work with nurses and doctors.
All right, got it. All right. Okay.
First off, forgive me if I tear up. All of my
Let's go to the end.
used to you about love. Nothing. This is everything I have learned about marriage. Nothing. Only the world out there is complicated, and there are beasts in the night, and delight and pain, and the only thing that makes it okay, sometimes, is to reach out a hand in the darkness, and to find another hand to squeeze, and to not be alone.
Okay, so we kind of bounced around there, but I think I have a good sense of the story structure. So basically, you have two songs, and you're kind of more hype intro into all the emotional stuff.
Well, it wasn't really a hype intro.
Yeah, it wasn't really,
It was like
but it
a
was
soft intro into a hype section.
yes,
Because first we started with a toast or a blessing or whatever from the dad.
but it was like a really it was about pooping. So
No, the very first thing was the father.
no, right here.
And it was a
Oh yeah,
blessing.
maybe. Let me.
Your back.
Oh yeah, I guess. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Money rolls like
Okay.
All right, hit it. What do you love about it?
It shot very well. I think what they did well was they definitely let the bridal party be themselves. I think they could have maybe done it in a little less of a cheesy way, but I do think I think that's a strength though of a filmmaker is when they can just figure it out. Like figure out what people are doing and actually let them be themselves on camera. And have them kind of show up on camera and actually be themselves and have a good time. Like I think a couple would watch this and be like, "Oh wow, that was me and my friends. Like that was a really good just representation of who we are as a group of friends and a group of people, and even their parents and some of them." And I think they also like, whether I'm a fan or not of certain things that they included, I think they did include a lot of like different types of content, like this heartfelt prayer, this gross story, you know, some other stories that they were including later in the film. The final kind of, if you didn't catch it, they're kind of doing like a nice story at the very end to close the film out. I think that was also a lot of narrative strength.
Yeah. Yeah, I think things that I liked about it, we actually just saw it, it's probably 30 seconds ago, a specific point of the dancing footage. I think he used the lighting really well. There were other points I don't think it was used as well, but and kind of echoing Jay, I think you really leaned into this couple and really just the whole wedding party as a whole. So, and kind of in capturing their quirkiness, but also in like having all these elements in their wedding film. Like, I think they seem like the type of couple who is heartfelt. They had some good speeches. They have close friends. Obviously, their family loves them. And so you have that element in there too. But then you have the more like out of the box, whatever stuff. I also think on the dance floor, again, some of the lighting, one of the things I'm going to recommend is bringing a light that plays more of a role or using it differently. Because I do think that you had one there. But I do like your handheld work on the dance floor. I like that
awesome.
You were
like that shot right there, the
floor,
like dad dipping her and her pointing.
Yeah,
and like that's really cool looking too, right there.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, I think those are some of the things that I liked about this. Some creative, elements in the way that you shot too.
There's that lens right over there in the left-hand corner.
But yeah. Yeah. So Jay, what are some things that you think that they could improve on?
So based on like my feeling on this edit was like, first of all, the tone was all over the place and I didn't love that. I didn't like, I couldn't get a sense of like what the filmmaker was trying to say really. I think there was also way too much of this beard guy. Like, I literally was like, is this film about this guy? Like, it was like so many shots of the, like that guy hamming it up and like too much. Like I think it was a distraction. And then I think like my actual opinion of the edit was like, and this is just my opinion. I wasn't really crazy about the structure of the film. I didn't feel.
Felt kind of disjointed to me.
Yeah. And then like there was definitely not close to enough B-roll of like tropical. It didn't feel tropical. It was cold. The whole film was edited cold. The color grade was cold. All the stuff was either at night or in a shadowy beach. Like, where's the heat? Where's Mexico? I want to see some iguanas running by or some beautiful shots of the water. Like, if you're doing Mexico, hire a drone operator. Someone locally, like who, if you can't fly drone or whatever. But I felt like you got to kind of bring that tropical element into the day. And it was like cold looking and like the white balance in the dance, like right here, like that guy is so blue. And so that was the other thing, but mainly honestly, the story structure, there's kind of like really quiet and then a gross poop story. And then like a bunch of vows. And like, it kind of like, it just felt like they were trying to stick every person in the film, and it wasn't like they had a really strong sense of what story they were trying to tell as a filmmaker.
Yeah. And I think as much as I gave them props for like leaning into the couple, I think there's a fine line between understanding your couple and leaning into that as a filmmaker versus letting the couple in the wedding party dictate like things, I guess, that
the story,
the film. Yeah.
But mainly, like, look how blue everything is. The entire film, like every single shot is so blue. I think the color grade is a mistake.
I would agree. So I wrote down a few of the things that I wrote down because some of these are, it's interesting. So the first thing I wrote down, I didn't love the intro with the dad's blessing or speech or whatever. I think that's whatever if you want to use that, but I don't. You had like all these, there were like 3 or 4 shots of just the dad, like not of him talking either. And that felt weird to me. that might have even been before we saw the couple. So I thought that was the groom. So I think there's some confusion there.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I think you would be not
Like
ridiculous if you.
That tells me that's the groom.
You wouldn't be ridiculous if you thought the beard guy was the groom. In that the shot of him,
Yeah. But
without
then I
it
think
is
it's
him
the dad. But
having him shaved his beard.
yeah.
Like that's what I originally thought was that was him, and then he shaved his beard for the wedding and surprised her.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that, but anyway.
Anyway, so moving on, a couple other things that I wrote down. The use of this, it's weird because you pick this hype song, which I'm all about. I love it. But then you have these hype moments, but then you also have these like, they're not somber speeches, but they're not like, it's weird. Like content wise, they could be hype, fun speeches, whatever, but like they aren't used that way. So you're like kind of towing this line between this like sentimental friend story, dad story, and then this like hype dance footage all throughout. And I think you really needed to lean into one or the other.
Or give us a clear like line break.
Yeah, like distinctions. Yeah.
By the way, I know that the dance floor stuff is not what I'm talking about being blue. That's dance floor. That can be whatever color it is. I'm talking about
whatever color the light
I'm
is.
talking about like all the portraits and all the speeches.
I think you missed the mark on the shots of the speeches. What we just saw right there, the beard guy, that is your closest shot on the speech giver, and it is cut at his knees and above with some headroom. The shot of the dad shows his full body. And I just, there's no foreground, like not that you can't do a full body thing or a wide shot, but you need some foreground then or something. Like it's just not, I don't think it's like flattering as an angle, not necessarily on the people, but just like in the film, it's just like not a good angle. I would go tighter on that 100%.
It looks like they were lacking like a couple, like this looks okay.
That one looks good. Okay, sorry, I didn't see that one. I mean, yeah, it looks fine.
But that shot is not good.
So that leads me to it. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like seeing his sandals either. He probably doesn't like that either. And that leads me to another thing, which is you clearly have a lens that is tight. Maybe it's an 85, maybe it's 70 to 200. I don't know. We're seeing it with the father-daughter dance there. You have a tight shot. But it feels to me like you spent most of this day on a 35 or maybe a variable lens on a gimbal, and you really didn't hop off on it. There's a lot, like that is distorted. You have a lot of close shots on a wide lens, and I don't think you're doing yourself too many favors with that. Not that you can't ever have it, but I think there's too many like that. And so I think you need to mix your focal lengths up a bit more. And I think you need to mix in tighter shots throughout and be conscious and intentional with what lens you're using and when.
Yeah, I would agree. I think definitely the color grade is...
And yeah, I didn't mention the color because Jay already kind of went on it, but the color's kind of all over the place.
Yeah. Anyway, I think these are all very fixable. I think there's enough good in here.
Yeah, I think that's the good thing. It's like there's not anything that's like bad. It's just really like some choices that you could make better choices, and they're very easy to fix. So
yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, what I'm trying to look at is always like, hey, did you maximize your opportunity? And I think based on the situation you were in, I think you could cut together a better film, even just with the footage you have. So I'm really only commenting on the edit. So who we got next? Bob?
Up next, we have Heartstring visuals. And they say, it was an amazing day, but got really chaotic quick as a solo shooter. That's all we got.
So expect a really chaotic wedding. Amazing, but pretty chaotic. That's what I'm expecting.
Amazing, but chaotic.
If it's not chaotic, I'm going to knock off some points. I'm going to say
send it back.
Not chaotic. Normal wedding.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Ugh.
I promise to always encourage you to
like
follow
that.
your
You
dreams.
can't have
To
people
remind you
making
to be the best you can be.
mouth and nose noises. Every time these people talk, it hurts my ears. Like, it's so trebly. Like, is that there's like so much noise reduction or something on that? It's not pleasant.
Your arms are the ones I want wrapped around me every beginning and end of each day. And your smile is the one I want our kids to have. Falling for you wasn't falling at all. It was like walking into a house and knowing you're home.
Okay.
That's why I went.
I'm not watching that anymore.
Skip forward. We'll only watch about 2 minutes anyway, so we got a feel for the beginning.
I know that's my critique. Shouldn't sound like Velcro being ripped.
We got headphones on here, people.
Oh, that's so weird.
You know, I had this happen at another wedding, and I think it's a thing.
It looks like what is that, like Midsummer?
Yeah, Midsummer. Yeah.
She's like covered in blood when they back up. This could be cool. I don't think what they did was cool, but it could be a cool idea.
So first I'd like to start with Allie. She's exact identical to my wife.
It's a great pleasure to say, by the power vested in me in the state of Vermont, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss your bride.
All right, I just want to review this one. Okay, so I personally don't like this film.
I'm with you, Veronica.
And
sorry, Jay.
I don't want to be mean to the person. I think there's a lot of inexperience here, like including
That'd
this
be my guess too.
Totally
I think this is
out
probably
of
pretty early.
Totally out of focus shot right here, like and just zooming in on it, like just doubling down on the autofocus, how it was out of focus, and like you're
Jay,
like,
it's out of focus because it's art. Nice try.
And so like the audio is so bad. You can't process audio that much, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And like this is painful to listen to. Like I turned it off because in my stream I don't want my listeners' ears to be like hurt. And it was crispy and just broken. And the other thing is you can't include like I don't know. I generally don't like sniffles in a wedding film. Like I understand there are times and places
that I think it fits. I think there are times, but
yes, in general, like mouth noises, like sniffling, like things that are bodily fluid related, you don't want to make major aspects, especially the very first thing you hear is these people like,
yeah, I think that's the big thing is that's kind of where that started. And I think that could have been
like
tackled better.
Like there are like parts where it's like not even on them and it's fading in and they're just fading in with like the background noise, like, and then they start talking. So I would say, in general, you need to really think about your audio setup and whatever you're doing to capture audio, it's not working. You got to get better gear. You go spend a little time understanding equalization, understanding how to mix audio, how to deal with high noise, high wind situations. Like this is my neck of the woods. I shoot a lot of weddings up here in Vermont. Everything's windy. You got to come prepared. And if your audio sounds like that, the solution is not keep processing it until it becomes like most people don't realize this, but audio processing is really just cutting frequencies out, like which makes your sound thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, or muddier and muddier. Mm-hmm. It makes it sound more and more unnatural, and there was a lot of that. I think probably the shooting is mostly okay, minus the out of focus stuff. I think you could cut together a film. I would say like cutting this the way with this audio, I think it's going to hurt what you can't, this is going to hurt your value on the market. Like audio this week.
It's kind of telling right away, especially the start of the film. Like it opens you to a potential couple, right, who might hire you, who's on your website, and they're looking at you and 3 others. For that to be the first thing that they hear and see, like it very well could be a kind of an instant turnoff, and I think Jay's right in that could hurt you from a business standpoint. I think, I'm torn because my guess is that this is somebody newer. We don't have that information, which is totally fine. But
listen to that.
Whoa.
Do you like that? How does this make you feel?
I'm in the middle of my thought.
How does this make you feel?
Yeah,
Anyway.
no, I think somebody's going to be, probably turned off by that. But so look, yeah, I think this is somebody who's new, or earlier, maybe not brand new, but earlier, in their career. But there are, like, look at this shot right here. Like,
That's nice.
are some redeeming good shots that are like, there are glimpses that you have a good trajectory. You understand, some things well, and you are capable of executing. But there are, outside of the things that Jay brought up, there are 2 huge things for me. One, you have so many focus problems. I don't know. I don't think we have.
How do you feel
the
about that
that
camera
you were
right
shooting
there?
on? Yeah, I don't love that. But that is a, with other issues, I think that's a smaller one.
I would
Although
agree.
fixable, very fixable.
I would agree with you.
But like, so many of your shots are out of focus and never come into focus, even though you're clearly moving around trying to get it. I don't know if you're relying on autofocus, but whatever you're doing is not doing you any favors.
Look at that. That's
I
nice.
think you need to look, like that. The bridal shot that I mean, even this, I think this is
it's
in
nice.
focus.
It's a little.
It's a weird, like, I
It's
don't
just
like
weird
this.
how
I know the
long she
photographer did
sits,
this. I
but
know it.
I like the frame.
But that's a separate choice. But then, like, yeah, so the focus is a big thing. And then also, this is a little, I would say, longer, right? Or a little, like, further in your career that we harp on people. But I think there was a lot in this, which is knowing your backgrounds. Not knowing your backgrounds, but just being aware of what's in frame. Like, there's shots with, like, empty water bottles. There's shot, like, I don't know, stuff like that, where it's like, just be aware of what's in your frame. I think that will help you out a lot. And then also, one last thing that I just want to say, I think you need to insert yourself, and take some control on some posing, because I think the posing was pretty lackluster, and that might be stuff you did, in which case change it up, watch some YouTube videos on posing couples or whatever. It might be what the photographer did, in which case you need to kind of work hand in hand and say, oh, hey, I've got an idea. Can we do this real quick? And, that's kind of its own tightrope walk, of course, just working alongside with photo and making sure that everybody gets what they need. But I don't think a lot of the couple shots that I saw were super flattering posing, I would say.
Well, even like, look at this guy on the right, Bobby. Look what
Yeah.
he does. Gross.
Yeah.
Like those are little things that make a big difference.
We always say, especially as you move up into higher and higher end weddings, right? You want to present your couple in the best light possible. You want them to look
cool,
like they're cool and beautiful, and that includes the wedding party and stuff too, because they're a reflection of them. This is their friends and family, the closest people in their lives. So make everybody look good. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So I want you to submit again, and like, I'm trying to be as honest with you as possible, because this, my opinion is that audio is a non-starter. Like, no one will be able to get past that. So, like, submit something with with better audio.
Or like this. Okay. Do I think that this whole this menu or whatever chalkboard is relevant and should be in the film? Probably not.
Probably not.
If I'm being honest. But if I were going to include it because the couple was like, oh, we have this really cool chalkboard, and we met because my dad he makes chalk.
He's a chalkist.
I don't know, whatever, right? Or so-and-so drew the mountain on the top of the chalkboard, and it's my sister, and she's an amazing artist. I don't know, whatever. Let's say it's important to them. Why are you shooting it where you can also see the exit sign and the
blown out
fire
background?
alarm?
And the blown
out background on the right. Like, get in tighter.
Yeah.
Get a different piece of it. I don't know. So just like intentionality in your shots, look at your frame always and say, okay, here's my whole frame. And this is what wedding filmmaking is. It's just you get to a point where you're doing it in a split second and you don't have to think through it. But in the beginning, you might have to think through it, or while you practice, you might have to think through it and say, look at my screen. And I say, okay, let's just survey the entire frame. Is everything in frame that I want it to be? Is there anything in there that I don't want? Should I adjust? Is this all intentional, basically?
Yeah. Is anyone going to think, I look like crap? I wish they didn't show me doing that,
Yeah.
Okay, next film is our friends the Youngs, who are on the podcast soon, so check it out. But
The Youngs.
And so let's check out. What did he say? Hold on.
Grant had an amazing wedding day. Tons of awesome details. I totally just botched that sentence. We ended up having to hire a third videographer due to timeline restraints to get drone and detail shots ahead of us. Also only had about 20 minutes of photo time with the bridal party and couple by themselves, since they decided last minute they didn't want to do a first look. That would throw me for a loop.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be fine, but like, I'm always kind of like, if I go into a wedding, like counting on a first look, I'd be kind of not annoyed. Like, it's their choice. I get it. But like, yeah.
I think it's fine to be annoyed. So
yeah.
It's okay if it annoys you. I won't think you're a bad guy.
Okay. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah.
There's some other little details, but I don't need to read this whole thing.
Yeah. Good filmmakers, and they have a good film, and here's their good film.
We are live, Danny. Welcome.
Whoa. He's so good at spinning her.
Spin City. Is there like
tons of diffusion?
Yeah, something. Okay.
I don't know if it's in lens or in post. They went with the opposite strategy of bigger logo. Kind of fun though. I liked it.
It goes against our terms of agreement.
Immediately not luxury.
Same.
Yeah, it needs to be small.
Seems like just the other day when we caught each other's eye and started this journey together. When we found each other, I had spent my time building up walls to keep people out, protect myself, and I had convinced myself that I would never find the right person. While still in my heart of hearts and in my core, hoping that I would find my person. Then you came along.
Get that?
Whoa, the door opens.
Oh my gosh.
You found it.
You
were
did
searching for an open door, and you found it.
Luckily, the bride was behind it.
Grant, you came into my life at exactly the right time. When I wasn't ready, but when I needed your love the most. Dang it.
I'm okay with that sniffle.
Yeah.
It didn't hurt my ears.
That's a great example of like, this is acceptable, and it sets the tone or the mood, or I don't know, whatever. You know,
it was
an
an intentional sniffle.
Yeah.
It was the first time I felt free to genuinely be myself with someone. You had the patience to slowly wear down the very tall and strong walls I had built around my heart over the years. You have given me a love story so much greater than I've ever imagined for myself.
Rolls Royce, wow. People... Imagine someone who didn't understand that everyone at weddings just rents all this stuff. And they thought everyone in America just drives a Rolls Royce.
I want to key in on the fact that I think he was talking about this or he or she, I don't know who submitted it, sorry. I think the Youngs, were talking about that in their in the text that they wrote about the fountain. I didn't realize it was right next, like that's where the ceremony is. It's
yeah,
right
that's why
that's pretty good audio quality for.
I think I could recommend some little tweaks that I might try, but that being said, I would have to look at the file. I could tell it was heavily processed, but I was like, it doesn't hurt me.
Still, I think it worked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Given knowing that, I think it's like totally acceptable.
It was acceptable 100%. But it was one of those things where I was like, yeah, that's tricky. That doesn't go well usually. So.
Well,
You
what
saw
was
me
across
for
the
the person I
street?
truly was instead of the walls around me. You broke through and gave me the strength to be a person that I'm.
That's such a strange location. They're like on the side, like road. I'm gonna skip
Yeah,
ahead a little
it's like
bit.
out front of the hotel in a city or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty, but it's...
Two extraordinary people who have decided to
What
carve
a
out
good feeling car.
already successful and full lives.
I love how
a
smooth
place
this
to start
Rolls
life
Royce
anew.
is.
For you see, Sam and Grant, you are not the only ones who feel humbled by the presence of love here today. We who are gathered to support and cheer you are humbled by the commitment to love
I like that
you now
transition.
seek to publicly proclaim for each other, and in so doing,
I like the flowers
you
over the
reaffirm
do not
for all
enter
of us
sign.
what is possible in our lives.
Let's skip to
helps you
if we
in those dark places.
pick up a little
Promise.
energy.
Always and forever. To be your husband.
Energy,
I love it.
energy.
Even when we are old and gray, I promise to always see you with the same eyes and the same heart that I see you with at this exact moment. I promise to be your light in the darkest times, your happiness in times of sorrow, and your shoulder in times of grief. I promise to remember we are not perfect, only perfect for each other. You are my best friend, and I'm the luckiest person on earth to call you mine. I love you.
And now, by the authorization entrusted in me by Sam and Grant, and in the witness of all those who gather here today, I proclaim you to be husband and wife.
All right. We skipped around a little bit, but I think we got the sense of what the film was. And so, what do you think, Bobby?
I think it's super solid. I think some things I loved. I will say this every time it comes up. I am kind of a sucker for black and white when it's used like sparingly, intentionally, whatever you want to say. And I really like the way it was used here. I also really like, I think they took some like creative, they went out on a few creative limbs here and there with like the 8mm stuff and that look and some of those transitions. And like, it was very tastefully done. Obviously a lot of really beautiful shooting. I think that goes without saying, and a good story. Like this is just such a, just like a very good, solid, all around, well-rounded, really sellable film. While also, I think, taking a few like creative liberties and like trying out a few things. I don't know if that's normal in all your films or whatever, but like, again, well done, intentional, and limited in those. Like it wasn't like in your face on repeat, and I like that. And the official Wedding Film School Award for matching up a shot to the lyrics for the week of this week.
So, solid filmmakers, pretty much just covering. I don't want to like downplay weddings. Like, that's a cool shot. Really cool. That dude looks like a Tom Ford model right there. So, I don't want to undersell like how important it is and how like that these weddings are, of course they're easy. Look at these rich people, beautiful places. Everything looks good. But they are like pretty much standard formula weddings.
Yeah.
Like you show up, same things happen. But in the middle of it, you're dealing with some emotion. I look at this and I think this is a challenging wedding. Like the way that everything about this ceremony is pretty brutal and really hard on the filmmaker. And I think they handled that well. I was a big fan of the way that they used the Super 8. Not just that it had Super 8. I don't like the sprocket, by the way, but I do like the way that they used it.
Yeah, it's very intentional.
like the cake cutting. I was like, oh, I love showing the cake cutting with the Super 8.
You use Super 8 on some moments that I think otherwise would have not made the cut of the film.
Yes. Seeing Super 8 with a cake cutting takes a dumb, lame moment that I wish I didn't have to shoot at all, and it makes it like a nostalgic moment. It gives it a lot more value. Some of the cuts from Super 8 to kind of integrating the footage was also nice. Yeah. So I think that worked really well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Things
start
things
being
that
mean.
we thought could be improved. I'm really only gonna say one thing because I do think that this was like, I think the couple is cool, but I think it just I think it was a challenging day or had challenging aspects, and I think you did really well. So there's actually two things that I would say. One, for me, and this is a personal thing. Actually, both these are personal opinions, and everybody in the world might disagree with me, so that's fine. There are a couple of things that felt a little posy to me. Like that shot we just saw of her like running her hand down the Rolls Royce, which is just kind of whatever. And then like the kiss, and I don't know, like things like that, or like the door shot that lined up so well, and I already gave you props for that. Like some of those things just felt a little posy, or like her going out to the balcony. That might be your style. That's totally fine, and I'm not like bashing on it, but I always get a little like, alarm bell when I'm like, it's a little staged for me.
Well,
and then
I think for me, it's like, cause it's not so much that I like really staged shots actually. When
I like some, like
when they're
that
coupled with real shots that show a lot of connection with the couple. When you're kind of like, I have like this editorial thing mixed with this connecting personal thing.
Yeah.
I think it kind of helps. And I felt like the way this couple was presented was almost all posed.
Yeah. And that might be what they needed,
100%.
So I totally get that too. The only other thing I would say, and it was one of the first comments I made, it was in that intro section that's 30 seconds long or something. It looked like some kind of filter or like, and again, I don't know if it was practical or in post.
I didn't really love it.
That footage. I didn't like it, and I don't know. Yeah, it could have been missed on a filter. I'm not sure. I'd be curious to know, but it was too extreme for me.
So my feeling is there was, I think, a fair amount of like, to me, this is underexposed.
I freaking love what we're looking at right now.
I would want to get it a lot brighter, but it's good. But it's too muddy for me. Like I can't see the details.
It can be the right idea and executed differently, maybe, or something.
But regardless, I think my biggest critique is like that right there. Kind of, there's just so like this. It felt stiff. The whole film felt stiff. You see a moment like this, and you're like, more of this. More like, was there more of this? Like I don't really remember even watching Dance Floor.
I remember Dance Floor. They seem to loosen up on the dance floor. But I could see that, where it's like there were little moments where it's like you feel like their true selves came out, and then outside of that, and maybe that, you never know. You never know what the photographer's asking for. Maybe the photographer's very editorial. Maybe they are like that and silly and fun by themselves, but around family they are a little more buttoned up. Like
I don't know, man. I'm watching that guy dancing, and like that, I just think maybe there was a little more there that we're not getting. And sometimes filmmakers, I think, and I don't know this if they were feeling this way, but I know some filmmakers think like, oh, this is a nice event. Like, I don't want to like make these people seem silly.
Yeah.
And
they're like, oh, this is high end. They're in the Rolls. They're at the, I forget what hotel it was, but I know it was a nice hotel. The Ritz. Yeah.
So, that's it.
Well, the photographer was Veronica, so can't blame her.
No, I mean it's very good. I mean, this is a very good film, and I could see the challenges. I've been these weddings, like everything I'm saying as a critique could be like, look, I couldn't have done any of that. That's the thing about wedding filmmaking.
Yeah. Also, it's very interesting because I'm seeing here in the comments that that stuff that we saw early on where he was spinning her, that was an engagement session done in the house that they're building. That's cool. I didn't really pick up on that.
I did, and I was about to mention, like, I would have liked to have that been more of a story element, since it's such a strong thing.
Yeah.
Like, I just felt like it could have. It just
really cool visually, though. I really like the visual inclusion of that.
I think the whole film could have been more laid back. So that's just me. All right. We got two more quick ones, and we're gonna hit these quickly because they were submitted today.
Yeah. All right. First, we have Brandon Rice Films. Day was nice, but also rushed. I think this is a teaser, by the way.
Yeah,
Brian
it's a
Durham
teaser.
Contracted me to film just for raw footage, which is always interesting. The bride's dad, who was the officiant, was also about 45 minutes late as he was sick. Sick from chemo, so, but still. So I'm gonna have thoughts that we could jump into right now, or we could jump into after, about offering a raw footage only.
I used to do it.
Collection.
I
mean, I think it depends where you're at in your career, and if you have teams of people, or if whatever. But
we would upsell. We would upsell. Like, the way we would sell it is, I think, important, which is we'd be like, oh, you can't afford the edits right now. You can just get raw footage and then do the edits later. And so 80% of the people who got raw footage would end up buying the edits, and we would charge them more. So they would actually
have teams.
Yes, they would end up being.
So it's not taking away a day from you. Brandon Rice, I know, does not shoot with teams or with anybody else, and
no, we would just use it. We got rid of it because we don't need it anymore.
Yeah, for sure. So. I get that.
But I'm not opposed to it. Like, if you're smart, you can figure it out. So
in the right company structure,
or the right,
if
it's
right
like 3 months ahead,
or it's like on a Wednesday. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a time and a place for it. But anyway, here we go.
Yeah.
We lost a child, and years went by. We prayed, and we waited. We trusted, and we waited. But then almost 19 years ago, God gave us an awesome gift, because he gave us a miracle. You were the miracle. You were what we prayed for. Bryce, I'll never forget the day you walked into our room. We were on vacation. And you not only asked for her hand in marriage, but something sounded so familiar. Because you talked about waiting. You prayed and you waited. You trusted, and you waited. And then finally, God gave you what you said you waited for all your lives. Sir, that's a miracle. Today, with pleasure, I hand you my miracle.
So that's a teaser.
The end.
The end.
And you.
You want me to go first? You want to go
you
first?
go first.
What do you feel?
Go for it.
Me? Oh, sorry. Okay. Things that I liked about this. I think the biggest thing that I would say, knowing that I have seen your work before, is you seemed to adjust your colors and skin tones, which has always been something that I think would have done you well, and I think that it did do you well in this. I think there is a section that seems to be your old coloring, which I will get to in the things that could be improved. But that, I think, it is a very, it's well shot. You get good reaction from the groom. It's put together. I think we get into the theory of a teaser at some point, maybe in the things that could be done differently. But yeah, I think it's like put together well. It's a very like compelling. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Compelling, or like the story kind of draws you in. Obviously, you have this great. I mean, the officiant, this great narrator, and this great voice, and the audio is very clear, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, and again, it's a teaser, so there's not like a whole lot to dive into, I would say, on either side. I don't feel, and this might, or sorry, that's things that for later. So I'll let you go, Jay.
You know, I love his wide compositions. Even like that shot, the wide shot of them during the ceremony, like this is a really nice shot. Like that's nice, especially with the crop he chose to use. The good reaction shots you mentioned before. I have mixed feelings about the story, because while I acknowledge that it's very compelling, the only issue I have with it is more like it's very heavy.
Very heavy.
And
I think my biggest complaint is,
but I don't know if that's a plus or a minus. It's hard for me to say. Maybe some people would love that. I think
that it is a very polarizing highlight film, and you know, Brandon, you are a polarizing person, so I know,
and it's probably okay.
Is sometimes your thing, and so I think it reflects you, honestly.
Yeah, and I do think like if you want couples that want to be taken this seriously, that you're gonna.
Yeah, I mean it's serious, but there is like it's very heavy in the beginning, and it's heavy throughout, but it is like it's heavy with a. It's not
negative.
Like joyous over. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how you like. Yeah.
It's just a lot of deep emotions, and I think that's probably a positive. That's why I put it in the positive. I will say there's a negative side to that, and we can get into that. And I would never recommend he make a change necessarily, but I'm just saying, hey, consider this. So let's talk about things we can improve. The only thing, like. We'll talk about the story. Let's talk about the color real quick. This is good color, great color.
Yeah, it's like 111, and you're just like, oh,
right
no.
Here.
I was like, oh, we don't see it. And then, yeah, whatever. It's 108.
So blue.
Like, oh, no, there it is. Yeah.
It's so blue, and I just would not have, like, I would try to at least whiten up the dress a little.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I don't like that look. I know I've brought that up before when we've seen other films from Brandon, because I think this was kind of what I was talking about like what the old Brandon Rice films look. But even if you want to defend it and say, oh well, that's what I look, it's my look, I love that, blah blah blah, fine, whatever. But you are clearly going for a different look in this. You clearly have a warmer look, warmer tones. And then that really stands out.
Well, I just feel like the rest of the film is really natural looking.
Yeah, it looks not like overly warm.
It looks really natural, good skin tones, really good color, and just the couple like really blue shots just stand out.
Yeah,
and I would just normalize it a little bit. And I do understand, by the way, that dusk is blue. They call it blue hour.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying. I still like
it. Doesn't have to match totally, but there is like there's a window or a range where
I think it's just too much of a swing. And then I think talk about your stuff. Oh, and I don't like this. I don't like these composites at the beginning. Like just
I think
I wish you would have like landed on one instead of just they're always transparent the whole time. Like it's too many of them, and I wish it was a little like that window shot was on there way too long. Like that, the window is not interesting.
I don't mind the use of it.
I like the
length
use
of it. I think the shots chosen for it don't work.
Well, in the composition, like if you're gonna do compositing like that, you have to move subjects into areas in the frame where they're still like visibly understandable what you're seeing. And like the window is so popping with the highlights, it's ruining the composite.
Popping.
And like you could see like that window shade just cutting her face in half right there. And just there's some if you're not really careful, there's like these people are in a window now, like mostly sidewalk over here. Like, I think you could if you're gonna do compositing like this, get really intentional and put subjects in ways that actually show them off. So that's what I think could be a little better.
I think the two things that I would add to everything to what we've spoken about so far. One, to me, so somebody said that the music plays a role, which I agree, in how like heavy the film feels, right? And I don't think that you can't use this song. I think, like this song can totally work. I don't even think that it doesn't work for your film. I'm not saying any of that. The one thing that I'm missing is I don't really ever feel like there was like a payoff. Like we're kind of in this like epic build up serious moment, and there's just never really a relief of that. And I think we want a little transition of some amount. And then
I think he would probably argue that the payoff was when he said, "You like are our miracle."
Yeah, you're my gift or whatever.
Like, thank you for taking our miracle.
There's just no like mood change at all. Like, I don't know. It's like we're in this world, this specific window of this world the entire time, and we never get out of it. And I think in a teaser, like this seems like a glimpse of a moment from the day, not a teaser of the day. Maybe is how I want to say it. I don't know. To me, whatever. Anyway, the other thing that I would say is I'm totally cool with this. Yeah, this heavy, right? This heavy, serious, not somber, but heavy, serious tone and content and whatever. But what I don't like, and hot take, everybody in the world can disagree with me if you want. I would not start with the first words talking about losing a baby. That is a trigger for a lot of people, men and women. I understand its place in their story. I understand the framework for their story and for the experiences dad had. But I just think it's a trigger for a lot of people.
I personally probably wouldn't put that in my film at all, but
yeah,
I do understand. Like, I'm assuming what they were saying is she couldn't have children, and then they ended up having her, and she was a miracle. So I don't know how you would really.
It's tough because I get the framework, like I understand it, but it's such a.
Well, this is what it is. Is like it's okay to take a creative risk or a storytelling risk. Just know it's a risk, and know that this will be. I guess I would say as artists, like it's incumbent on us often to talk about things and tell 360 stories, and that can be a challenging thing because weddings are always like there's always a bittersweetness to a lot of weddings.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like, how do you present that? And so
you want to represent the couple honestly too. So it's really tough. Yeah, it's just really tough. I'm just saying my personal opinion is I certainly wouldn't open with it, and I probably wouldn't include it because I just know that like that stuff stings for a lot of people, and
yep.
But I also I get it too. I don't know, it's a weird spot to be in, and I'm sure it was a weird spot for you to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're really talking through is like, what is the job?
Yeah.
And like, you made a film for the couple, and I think for the couple, they loved it. And I'll say probably for the couple successfully, this was probably a dream. The way it was presented, right? For marketing, not probably a total dream. And I think you're always wrestling with that with a wedding film.
You know what I think the thing is for me is I wonder if there was something else that could have been used as a story for the teaser. I think I struggle with it because it's a teaser where like in a highlight film, it could be, it wouldn't be its own, like the whole thing kind of, it can be part of the whole thing more easily, if that makes sense. I don't know.
No, totally.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking on my toes.
Well, I mean, these are important questions, and I think I'm glad that, we're talking about it because
and there's no right or wrong. Again, I mean, ultimately, the couple is your client, and if they liked it, they liked it, and that's all that matters. But I do also think teasers can be such a great marketing tool that
everyone is going to be in this
Yeah.
situation with a wedding, Bobby, where they're going to have things that are painful but are part of the day.
Yeah.
And you always
Oh,
will
yeah.
wrestle like how to include that stuff.
I think it's just easier to include the full scope and to pad it with something lighter on either end in a highlight film because you have more space, I guess.
Yep.
I would say. But again, that doesn't mean don't do it. It just means, yeah, like Jay said, it's a risk. And as long as you know that.
What do people in the comments say? I'm over in a wrong screen. Were people loving it?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, it seems to be, I think kind of everybody seems in the same spot. Like, it's like, I wouldn't just straight up not include it, but yeah, incorporate it in a more intentional way that doesn't pull away from the positive aspect of it. If it's for the couple, or it is for the couple, it's not always for other people watching, which I totally get, but yeah, maybe not in a teaser or maybe in a highlight. I don't know. I think everybody is as torn as we are, and it's. I
wonder if he would have picked.
It's an interesting one.
I wonder if he would have picked like a song that was more upbeat. If that would have helped smooth out the heaviness. I wonder about that.
Yeah, not even more upbeat.
Not
like I think you can have but
major
it is
key.
a,
I mean, like
yeah,
more hopeful.
It is a sad song when paired with it's not a sad story. I don't know.
Anyway.
I'm over it. I can't discuss it anymore.
Moving on.
All right. Last one we got today is from Chris Truitt. Excuse me, Reminisce Films. And Chris, I believe, is a member, so we'll be watching a longer portion of this one. Honestly, my ideal wedding day and couple. Wish every wedding was like this. So a lot of my marketing is based around this wedding.
High
Struggled
bar
with the white balance on the outside ceremony area with all the green from the trees. It was cloudy, so the light levels were weird. Some shots aren't exposed.
You know, I had a discussion with a photographer, Bobby.
Yeah.
And I was talking to them, and I was like, they should really call it white balance compensation, not white balance. And he was like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you're trying to fix the light. So you're
fix
like,
what is in frame.
Yeah, like if it's blue light, you're actually usually adding orange in the white balance. And I think a lot of people, they don't understand what's going on when they're changing their Kelvins. So they don't understand, like, all you got to do is look at the light and go, is the light blue? Is the light orange?
Opposite.
Yeah. And like people struggle with that. So I totally disagree, buddy, by the way. You said, I'd rather film when it's cloudy. So boring.
I have had cloudy where I feel like it worked, but there's such a lack of, everything seems so flat. Even if you get total nice, even, no harsh shadows, whatever, like, yeah, I don't know. I like this.
I just like to play with the movement of your camera and the movement of the light on the subject.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
But you can make anything look good.
We're going to have...
You, Jay, can make anything look good.
Anyone can. If you know how to work with light, light is a character.
If you know how to white balance compensation.
Yeah, light is a character. So, here we go. This film is now on.
And Chris is in chat.
Hi, Chris. Here's the film.
Here's your film. That's a cool thing.
So we wouldn't be here if it weren't for Jade and Alex, who have with them, and I quote, 100 of their closest friends who come from childhood, college, the magical merged combination of the two and beyond. What does love look like? Let me look around the room, guys. This is what love looks like. Tonight, all of you here with us.
His dad rocks.
These are the relationships that fill our hearts and define our lives.
It's a soundbite machine.
Tonight is an opportunity
Yeah, I hope you gave
to be
him like
reminded of
$100
how
after, and you're like,
look at
thanks for reading the script
Thank
I
you
wrote
for
you.
being here from the bottom of our hearts.
Smaller. Microscopic titles only.
Every one of us is, in the cosmic perspective, precious. In 100 billion galaxies, you will not find another. Every single moment that you are alive and that you two together is miraculous. We are the beneficiaries of chance. Pure chance was so generous and kind for you to find one another.
How could they be
to be together?
The benefit of chance, but also people be miraculous? Are people special or random?
Age-old question, Jay.
If someone's random, how could they be miraculous?
I would like to go on record to say whoever is talking right now, which I think is maybe a groomsman or a brother, that is a really nice looking shot, and I like the use of foreground.
And I love the way the audio sounds. Despite his philosophical contradiction.
Now, if he were to sniffle, Jay, thoughts? Would it be an acceptable sniffle? What if he was like, I'm just choking up?
If that guy cries talking about the randomness of the universe, I think don't include that. That's a weird guy.
But Jay, it's just so beautiful.
All right, here we go. I'm gonna skip ahead to get a little more of different
because
moments.
we will watch a full film,
And that
guys,
is what
if
I
you
wish.
remember,
That
but
is
5
all I
minutes or
want
so is the limit, and this
on
is
this
7
earth,
minutes.
in this life,
That
to be
audio
yours
doesn't sound great to me.
and yours alone till my last breath.
I actually think like all three audio sounds so different, but this guy looks
They do sound
pissed
very
right
different.
there. Look at that guy. He's like, oh, come on.
You know what he's thinking about? He's thinking about, are we designed or are we random?
Yeah,
And
he's like
really in his head about
what's
it.
the point of this event? What's the point of this event?
We're all just random. Why are we even here?
These people just randomly met. There's no purpose to this.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the moment that I realized that I wanted to marry you. In that moment, everything stopped. It was just you, your infectious energy, your smile, your appreciation for the simple, beautiful things in life and the world at our fingertips. Today, this moment is a lot like that moment. The world is still at our fingertips.
Cool chairs.
Anything that we want, we can achieve because
What
we
we're
want
hearing
them
right now from the
and
groom, is
achieve
this
them
at the
together.
ceremony, or are they reading
Private
this?
vow reading.
Okay.
Or something.
That's a cool little ceremony location too. I like that.
Together, their horizons have expanded. After knocking down 14 national parks together with many more on the horizon, it's safe to say that this union is truly boundless. The yin and yang between the two, confidence, adventure.
See, like, why is 14 national parks make their union boundless? What if one more national park ends it? Like, that's the national park. They just breaks their marriage apart.
They
Sky.
can't. They could do They could do 14, but 15. It's just too
15
much.
is the boundary.
Business, patience, enthusiasm, immersion, perspective, all create a balance that has formed a lifelong bond.
Whoa.
I now pronounce
Weird.
you husband and wife. Alex, you may kiss your bride!
Good people, though. Everybody here is like well spoken and good energy.
I am a big fan of bubbles.
Oh yeah, the bubbles are great.
Yeah.
Especially if you use that focal length, like the wide shot, you could see the bubble machines. Meh.
Yeah.
That once you got in tight.
Yeah,
beautiful.
tight. Woo.
Looks sick.
Love it.
That's fun too. Ringing the bell. How is it possible that there's 3 more minutes to this, though?
Well, you're about to find out. Do you think these last minutes were planned or are they random?
I think. Well, I'm a very religious person, so I don't believe in randomness. So all of this is ordained by God, in my mind. God pre-planned.
God edited this.
All pre-planned
3
moments. He knew everything I was going to say, so I'm not even responsible for the words I'm going to say. So
She said, "What's your vision for the
That's
wedding?"
a slippery slope.
Surprisingly,
I mean,
Probably.
it is what it is.
And but what did come to mind immediately, and really the only thing that I had pictured, was the people that were going to be there. thank you so much for being here and for, being our rocks. Now, Jade's vision, on the other hand, is everything that you're seeing, tasting, feeling, experiencing this weekend. So, Jade, thank you for envisioning the best weekend of my life.
Don't like the
bringing it
zoom,
to
don't
life.
like the
I love
jump
you.
cut.
I mean, I'm okay with it, but I just...
I'm not.
I honestly almost never include the couple speech.
I would agree. It's rare for me, but it does happen every now and then.
So, mainly just because I'm always like, they just say possibly the most generic stuff ever. So, but that seemed okay. That looks cool. A photographer, what are they wearing? Look at this person's pants.
Hey, actually, on that note, I was at a wedding as a guest recently. The last wedding I went to was as a guest. Wonderful. And yeah, the photographer there was wearing like basically a sweatshirt and ripped jeans, blue. And I was like,
get out of my level.
Or wait, maybe
lady.
they were black. I don't know. But either way, I was just like, really? Come on.
How not?
Be better for the industry, please.
I don't care if this person thinks they're edgy, and I don't care if they see this, and I don't even care if they're Chris's best friend. Don't dress like that if you're shooting a wedding. Don't do it. Like, you don't have to wear
Wow, good thing we didn't have that comment when we were reviewing the Young's film, and it would have been
you don't have
the
to
wife.
you don't have to dress like a tuxedo or whatever, but I just,
No, but like I really have no. I know we're just totally off topic here on your film. Sorry, Chris. I have like no like grace or leniency for wedding professionals. Like, look, if you're doing setup and teardown, wear whatever. You're behind the scenes. I don't care. Or catering, sure. Or well, not if you're delivering the food. But if
anyone
you're
who's
cooking
in front
it,
of
do
guests
whatever.
should match the
Yeah,
wedding.
like freaking A. Like you
This
gotta
person's
look
wearing a
little bit better.
tuxedo right here, and you're all I can look at is your jean rip. So,
Also, there's a little. Is that that is one risky rip up top? That is a high rip if that is a rip that we're looking at.
ugh.
Whoa! Look at that freaking hair. That's awesome.
It looks good. 24. Don't do this slow.
Yeah.
Like, give me some action.
You're out of here. See ya.
Their love found a boundary.
The boundary was planning a 15th national park. I like that shot.
Okay. Here we
Oh,
go.
this guy. This is cool.
Really cool idea. You got to expose the flowers better though. But really good.
Oh, we got a story about ripped pants. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Anybody who's shooting with me knows how to dress accordingly. I always am in dress pants, a button up. I usually start the day with a sport coat. It usually comes off pretty early because I get too hot. I will say though, last year I switched occasionally to wearing a short sleeve button up. And it feels so much better.
This is the thing. I'm actually pretty loose about that stuff, especially depending on the wedding. But I have a thing on
Jay
my.
loves when his seconds show up in ripped jeans.
I don't wear suits. I'm not one of those guys. We might actually start this year wearing suits at some weddings. But regardless,
I will. Yeah, it depends on the wedding. That's a big one for me, actually. Depends on the wedding.
that's why on my form I say, tell me how fancy this wedding is, and we give them a 1 through 3 rating, and a 1 is black tie, and a 3 is beach formal. And it's like, if I'm going to a black tie event, I'm going to tell everybody, wear a coat.
Yeah.
If everyone's wearing a tuxedo, you should be wearing a coat. At least for a portion of the day. You shouldn't, and at least a button-up shirt. And polos are not button-up shirts. Some weddings, polos are appropriate. Some weddings are not.
Yep.
Like, just
that's my
short sleeve button-up can be fine, especially if it's some, I think having patterns is fine. You can also do all black. You know?
I'm not an all black type of guy.
But
I think once or twice I've been specifically told all black.
Wear blacks. Like,
and I'm like,
you just gotta like read the room here, guys. Like, you're gonna show up like that, and it's like, I'm gonna express myself. I'm like, no one cares about.
It's funny because we're just like harping on this person that's not even the person we're reviewing.
It's just
like
ridiculous. Okay, let's talk about the film now. So stuff we loved. We talked a lot about stuff we loved. A lot of really solid shots, especially this is a great shot right here.
I love that shot.
That's a great shot. Honestly, there's a lot of really good shooting in this film. Throughout the film, there were some times where the audio was really, really solid, and I also think, despite the fact that I was teasing, they picked really good sound bites and they told a very pretty coherent story throughout, and they also captured a lot of moments throughout. I think it was very, very like thorough, and you just got a sense of who these people were, and good stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it was shot pretty well. I think there was a lot of... I like this because I think we saw a variety of focal lengths, and I think that's something that, we don't always see. I think the story was really well done. I think they were, I think they had the world to work with as far as story and content, it felt like, which is an awesome feeling, and I think they executed that well. Some cool shots throughout, some interesting shots throughout. Took a couple creative risks, like at the end with that, when we brought him back out here.
I love that. That was really good.
Yeah. So I like seeing that. Let's talk about areas of improvement.
Okay, so for me, there's a lot of really weird audio things, like 3 different sounds of audio recording from clearly 3 different sources and methodologies. Didn't love that. Felt like they were just very clashing, even though none of them were horrible sounding. So I'll give you that, but it was noticeable. I think there was also a lot of right here, this composition, just punch that in a little bit. Just make it so that the right-hand side, to me, I'm just looking at that left-hand border.
That up a little.
And then this right here, you got all this space, and it's just bothering me. And honestly, the composition that bothered me the most is when they were reading those vows to each other, or letters, or whatever those were.
The shot on the groom?
Yeah, that composition is not...
where is it? Oh.
Right here.
Yeah, that really bugged me.
You gotta, first of all, you have lead room over here, which indicates, a villain's gonna pop up or something. I would either go wide and show them in a flat, Wes Anderson kind of shot, or I would have a shot over his shoulder and a shot over her shoulder. But having her vague
in frame,
kind of unintentionally peeking into frame.
What it feels like is an attempt at an over the shoulder so that she's there for reference, but it's too profile for that.
Just go with the full profile.
Yeah.
That's a fine shot. You don't always need everyone's faces. And then the last thing I'll say is I don't like the way you shoot dance floor. I think the way you shoot dance floor is I don't see you in that crowd at all.
It's kind of on the outskirts.
You're on the perimeter.
Some of those shots look good. I think some of these look good, but
and then
you
it's
also
all
want to get in there too.
Yeah, I think with the energy you're seeing right here, your shooting should match this energy. And I would also say it's a little too underexposed. It needs lights. You just hit the back of that crowd, give them some hair light or whatever. I know the situation; it's a little challenging, but I would say if you can see the party going in this direction, this is going to be a strong element of your film. And I felt like it was filmed in a way that wasn't really maximizing the value that they were bringing. It
looks like there's a light on there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's tricky.
But then it's not really utilized with some close stuff. So.
And then the thing
Yeah,
I mentioned while we were watching the film is like the buildup of this right here, where I don't love the transition right here, Bobby, where they're kind of like on the dance floor and like they're like, all right, guys, like come on, join us, and it's like, all right,
here we go.
It just doesn't explode, and then like,
well, it's because it explodes into
slow-mo.
A shot of the band that's slow motion, exactly the
yeah.
slow motion.
Her hair moving in 24 would have been really compelling, like that big hair, and just like a bunch of fast moving clips would have felt good. So that was I think a missed opportunity.
I think the only thing that I would add to this, I felt like the color, I mean, and Chris, you mentioned it, so I think there was some variety in your color. I think especially when I look at couples portraits, there seemed to be, and then like one of the ceremony shot, I don't know, I'm just trying to think back where it's like a few random things where like, I think overall for the most part, a lot of color was fairly consistent, and then there'd just be like a few shots here and there where I'm like, oh, what? Okay.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple like wide establishing shots I just didn't love, like in a room, like of the bridesmaids getting ready, where we like went to it a couple times, and I was just like, I just don't think it's like a very intentional shot. I don't know if we'll find it. I mean, it's quick, so it's a pretty small thing, but yeah. Other than that, I would.
It's a great film. I could totally see why he uses it.
You know what I would say, actually? This shot, I didn't love
this
that.
shot, that's not good.
I think one other thing that I would say that I noticed is I think you are doing some handheld, and I think you're doing some gimbal. And I think some of the gimbal stuff, I think you're trying to move too far. And I think you're starting to get some wobbles, or maybe not even too far, but like we saw it at the ceremony. We saw it at that shot of the like head table that we had just cut to, where you're like walking, and I think with a step or something, you're like dipping down a little and then coming back up, and that happens a couple times. So I think like, the ninja walk a little bit more, or stabilizing that stuff a little bit better, or something where I think those gimbal shots are the right idea. I think they just could be executed better.
Well, even like that first look I was mentioning before the composition, like I just think that entire when you have control over your subject, like this is weird looking camera. This is the one that looked weird, by the way. This shot popped up while he was talking, which was also weird. Like this guy's talking, but he's not moving his mouth. The thing I was gonna say about the whole first look is like you had a lot of control there. I think you should have gotten some higher quality shots in that setting, and maybe taken a little more control over the posing too. But other than that, I mean, this is a very solid film. I think it'd be much better at 5.5 minutes, by the way.
I would agree. And actually, I think that's what he was contracted for, and I think he went over, I believe. So I would agree with that, though.
Yeah, this would be stronger at 5.5 minutes.
I don't think there's tons of fluff. Like, I think we'll get on people where we're like, you put in so much stuff that doesn't need to be in there. And I don't think that's the case with you, but I do think shaving a minute off this or something would be just an even tighter,
it'll just be punchier
film.
It'll be punchier. I think there was probably more talking than you needed, and then some shots were held much longer than you need. Like this shot, I wouldn't include. I would shoot only this shot. I think there's a few shots that you just didn't have to have, and maybe.
Yeah.
And I also randomly just thought, when I was watching this, I'm like, this bell shot, this would have been my transition into the party.
Interesting.
I would have been like, bong. I would have just cut to it. I would have shown a picture of the bell. I would have been like, party, bing, bing, bing. And I would have just went into the film. I don't think you need to be so linear and like just tied to the actual timeline of the day with your edit. But that's just me. I know that's not everyone's style. So, all right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Did we hear the bell sound, Jay? Last question of the day.
Yeah, we did hear the bell sound.
I thought we heard it.
But I would have liked it like as a kind of it's a cool gimmick.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you next Thursday at our standard time, probably most likely, of 1 p.m. Eastern. You can submit your film starting right now for next week. Hit the link. Oh my gosh, I never pinned it. I only posted it. Submit here at this link, and this is where you can start submitting for next week. And remember, we will be doing the exact same format where if you are a member, we will review a longer amount of your film. You will get priority to getting your film reviewed. If you are not a member, that's okay. We still love you. We still appreciate you being here, but we're going to cap you at around 2 or so minutes just so we can work through as many as possible. If you want to become a member and support the channel, we would appreciate that. It starts at just $5 a month. You get some other added benefits, and you can hit the join button down below over here next to subscribe. Make sure that you are over in our Facebook group. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel. Make sure you are checking out our other channel, the Wedding Film School Show, for podcasts where we have many awesome guests, many awesome topics.
Guess next week we got Kaylin from White and Reverie on the show,
that.
so check that out. And then if you haven't seen,
if you need help finding music for your films, we just dropped one of my favorite videos that we've dropped in a while, I would say, Jay, because it's fun and it's informational.
if you haven't, just watch the first 2 minutes. Just watch the first 2 minutes. And you can just forget about the actual helpful
tips.
tips.
The first 2 minutes, and I dare you to turn it off after that.
I would actually agree with them.
Dare you.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, leave a like on your way out. We will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for being here, and we will get submitting now because we'll start compiling those films. Bye.
See you guys.